Hey there, I'm back with a 2016 election update. Now, if you've been watching this campaign lately, you have probably heard about the results in Iowa and New Hampshire. And in my last video, I predicted that Ted Cruz would win the Republican caucus in Iowa and Bernie Sanders would win the Democratic primary in New Hampshire. And if you heard about the results, then you probably know by now that both of those predictions actually turned out to be right. So I guess I have bragging rights. But anyway, so what exactly does this mean going forward? And it's really hard to tell. But anyway, today I want to focus mostly on the Republican nomination. I think the Democrat nomination is really a lot harder to predict simply because it's down to two candidates. And so really the Republican side I think is probably more interesting. And Donald Trump actually won the New Hampshire primary on the Republican side. And based on the historical odds, that indicates that either he or Ted Cruz will win the nomination. No Republican that I know of in recent history has ever won the nomination without winning in either of those two states. And on the Democrat side, the only candidate I can think of who has ever won the nomination in recent history without winning in either Iowa or New Hampshire. On the Democrat side, that's Bill Clinton in 1992. But the thing is, I don't think that the early wins by Trump and Cruz are necessarily a bad thing for the center-right candidates, because as more of them are forced to withdraw, then their vote can be consolidated more to fight against Donald Trump and Ted Cruz. So, and the next few contests will probably be more favorable to Trump or Cruz on the Republican side. So, anyway, I would argue that right now there are really two battles going on in the Republican field. One is primarily between John Kasich, Jeb Bush, and Marco Rubio for the center-right, the mainstream conservative vote. And the other one is between Donald Trump and Ted Cruz for the anti-establishment lane. So, and as the field narrows out a bit more, I think we will start to see a real, one-on-one battle between whoever emerges victorious on those two fronts. So, anyway, what I think it's interesting because, and what we are seeing is that already some of the more mainstream Republicans are withdrawing. Mike Huckabee withdrew after Iowa. Carly Fiorina and Chris Christie withdrew earlier this week after New Hampshire. And so really, it's going to be interesting to see what happens going forward. Ben Carson is still in the race. And the next contest is South Carolina. I could see Carson doing very well there, or I could see him just completely falling flat, like he has in the first two states. And if he doesn't finish well in South Carolina, then I think he will probably have to withdraw. And so what I think is going to be interesting is, although most of the next few contests are in southern states, there are a few less conservative states that will help, I think, to winnow out the more mainstream Republicans. And those would be in Nevada, which votes shortly after South Carolina, then in Minnesota and Colorado on Super Tuesday, and then shortly after that is Florida. And between Jeb Bush, John Kasich, and Marco Rubio, whichever of those candidates finishes the strongest in those states will probably be able to lay a better claim to the center right base, and take the fight and focus more on taking the fight to Trump and Cruz. And who and the other two will probably have to withdraw shortly after that. But a lot will depend on when these candidates decide to withdraw. If none of them withdraw before the less conservative states come around, then it's quite possible that the entire nomination may come down to Donald Trump or Ted Cruz. But it's just really hard to predict at this point, because and so it'll be interesting to see what happens going forward. I will be watching closely to see what happens in South Carolina and Nevada, and then going on to Super Tuesday. So thanks for watching. I'm looking forward to sharing more thoughts with you about this, and thanks again for watching.